why I wanted to discuss that publicly. But I've said what I've said about Boris, and at this point, I don't really want to expand on it anymore.
Is that because you're worried?
I appreciate the question.
Go
It's
ahead.
just here's the thing. Is that I'm a lawyer. I'm not a campaign guy. I'm not a political guy. And so my concern is the facts and the law and what happens in a courtroom. And really, the whole narrative about Boris, what his role is, that's more of a political conversation. It's not something that that I really want to
Well, I would push you on that. I mean, you're going to choose what you say, but there are people who care about the issues here, and if somebody that close to the former president is pushing things that are false or complicating it, that's of public interest, dealing with the documents as well as what happens in the case. I did want to also play another lawyer, but I take your answer there, who you're familiar with, Joe Tacopina, who's involved in more than one case. He came on this program. We discussed the New York case, which now has been charged. What you're about to see from Mr. Tacopina was before the indictment, which is about fraud. It's about, to simplify, lying. And in that interview, take a look at what he said.
Here's why it's not a lie.
Did you know about this? Let me answer. Did you know about this? No, I don't.
No, we don't need that. Here's why it's not a lie.
Yeah.
Because it was a confidential settlement. So if he acknowledged that, he would be violating the confidential settlement. So is it the truth? Of course it's not the truth.
Your thoughts on him saying,
of course, in the studio with you, so I wanted to be in the studio with you instead of remote, so I could grab your notes. But yeah, that was an interesting one.
Well, do you think he's serving the president well in a case that's now about fraud by saying, of course, they didn't tell the truth?
Look, Joe Tacopina and I have a significant history together. I represented Bernie Kerik, who was originally represented by Joe Tacopina, who, we litigated a case over the fact that Joe Tacopina then became a witness against Mr. Kerik in his criminal case. And so, I don't want to comment on the things that he's done specifically in this New York case, but obviously we have a history, and I am not somebody who would recommend him, as a lawyer, to handle a case like that, nor did I recommend that. So the decision to bring him on was not mine. But it's my understanding. It's my understanding, though, at this point that Todd Blanche has kind of taken over lead on that case. So I would refer you to Todd on that.
You think Todd is calling more shots than Mr. Tacopina?
That's my understanding. I mean, certainly, if you just look at the setup on the table at the arraignment, you have Todd in the first seat, you have Susan right next to him, and then down in the far end of the table where the associates would normally sit is where you have Joe Tacopina and Boris.